YouTube? It's your boy Amb, aka Ambitious. Man, it's been a minute. I know we back at it with another one. I'm in my internal medicine rotation, and I'm gonna kind of show y'all what it looked like. Today I'm actually on call, so it's gonna be a pretty long day. Basically, when you're on call, that just means like your team, your medical team, takes most of the new admits from the ED. So just kind of like a rundown. Somebody comes to the emergency department feeling like sick, or my stomach hurts, or my foot hurts, or something like that. At that point, you get triaged, you get seen, and then if you are sick enough, you then get admitted to the medicine floor. So then from there, that's when the medicine team sees them, and they get added to your service. So we're on call today. We're gonna see what's popping. Let's do it. Decided to finally get me a coffee maker and some HEB type, whip it up, get off the Starbucks addiction. And I still get Starbucks a lot, I'm not gonna lie to you, but most of the time I try to make my own coffee before I go in there. Sometimes you have to go to the hospital before Starbucks is even open, so it's a nice idea to just have a little something. So real brief, I kind of want to talk about what exactly is internal medicine. So when I was pre-med and before I got to med school, I did like a nice little Google search or whatever on like what internal medicine was. And I remember reading a post saying that internal medicine doctors are like your doctor's doctor on some like, if nobody else knows what's going on, internal medicine doctors kind of figure out. But while that is kind of true, I think they're more like the foundation of medicine. Internal medicine doctors basically know everything about almost everything, other than like the very specialized things, but they know a little bit about enough of things to be able to take care of broad subjects. And that's why, honestly, internal medicine doctors are probably like the most knowledgeable physicians because they have to know everything about everything. Right now, I'm back at the VA. It's my first 4 weeks of internal medicine at University Hospital, and then my next 4 weeks here at the VA. This is week 7 of 8, and I finish next week. Honestly, it's been a long 8 weeks, but we're almost done. So, just gotta keep getting it. Other things about internal medicine. So internal medicine is kind of like I would say like a gateway specialty, kind of, if that kind of makes sense, because from internal medicine, then your options are still kind of limited. So you can be like a general hospitalist, like just the doctor that's just like kind of in the hospital. You can go primary care and have your own clinic, and then or you could further subspecialize in like cardiology or pulmonology, rheumatology, nephrology. You know what I'm saying? Infectious disease, geriatrics, etc., like that. So you can do a lot out of internal medicine. And if you don't really know what you want to do, a doctor once told me that like internal medicine is a good rotation, probably a good specialty for you, because you can then kind of figure out, you still have more time to figure out what you want to do if you don't know what you want to do. So a lot of people go into internal medicine, really to the two most popular specialties, I think, as far as like lifestyle and money and prestige, are like cardiology and GI, and they make stupid money, and it's kind of hard to get into even from internal medicine. So you kind of have to be on your P's and Q's through med school, through medicine residency, and then finally when you get to your fellowship. So internal medicine gives you the opportunity to do all that. So boom, quick change of locations. I'm on my lunch break right now. We usually have daily noon reports where we get like taught a lecture, or if we don't have a noon report, then we get like self-study time for about an hour. So we don't have a noon lecture today, so I just moved to the library real quick, probably do some questions, but I want to talk to y'all real quick, kind of explain some other things. So I can't really record in the hospital because like we're on the wards, and having your camera out there is probably a super no-no. But just to kind of want to explain to you kind of what happens and what we do as medical students. So there's 2 different days. There's when you're on call and then when you're not on call. So when you're on call, like I am today, we basically admit every like sick patient into the ward or whatever. And you just, go see the patient. You read up on them, you go see the patient, you get the full history and physical. Basically like why they're here, family history, past medical history, surgical history, social history, all that. See what they do in the ED, what labs, their vital signs, do a physical exam, and then you come up with an assessment and plan, and you present it to your attending. So once you get a new patient, that patient then kind of become your patient. So the following days, you get to the hospital around 6 a.m. and you round on your patients and you see how they did overnight, see if anything is concerning, check their labs, see if they're clinically improving or getting worse. And then you present to your resident and or then present to your attendant. So as a medical student, you'll have like 2 to 3 patients. That's like on average. Some people that want to do IM and really want to show out, they get like 3, 4, 5 patients. I'm good on all that. I'm just there so I don't get fined. But I usually have like 2 to 3 patients, and you'll present on you'll round on all your patients by yourself. And then once the team gets together, and the attending usually gets there around like 8 or 9. Once the attending gets there, you then do what's like the big group round. So there's 2 types of rounding. Some attendings do table rounds where the interns, which are the first year residents, they'll talk about their patients, and then when they get to one of your patients, you present on that patient. The good thing about table rounds, it'll take like maybe like an hour, but you're sitting down. You know what I mean? And it's a lot quicker than, so the other type of rounding, or the more traditional type of rounding is, so there's a big medical team, you have your attending, you have your 2 to 3 interns, you have your medical students, you may or may not have some pharmacy students on the team, you may or may not have case manager and social work, but you go from each room, you go to each patient's room one at a time, and at the room, you then present about the patient. So it's like, okay, now we're at room 15, so tell me about Mr. Gonzalez, and then you update the team about what happened overnight. There's a running joke, like I said, about in internal medicine, like you round forever. You know what I mean? Like you can easily round from 9 to 12. And most of it is because it's like a teaching hospital, so like you don't just like present, ask you questions. So like, okay, what do you think about this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Sort of deal. And then kind of like it's a learning opportunity for everybody that's there. I think attendings, like if they were to round by themselves, they round a lot quicker. They're not talking to anybody. They just see their patients and move on. So once you round on the patient, you go in the room and you see the patient, see how the patient's doing, and then you update the patient with the plan, and then you move on. So a team can have like 15 to 20 patients. That's like on the busier side. A lighter side would be like 10 to 12 patients. So today, so far, I've admitted 2 patients from the ED, go down there, see what's going on, get a full history and physical. And then from there, you kind of update the lead resident, which is like the 2nd year internal medicine resident. And then you update your attending when he comes in. So when we're on call, we have to work till about like 7 to 7s. And I may get 1 or 2 more patients after lunch. Another system that some hospitals do is called, instead of a call system, it's called like a drip system, which is what University Hospital, where I was the first 4 weeks, did. Basically, with a drip system, once you discharge a patient, your team can get a new patient. So you'll constantly have the emergency department calling each team to check their census, just so they can see if they can give new patients, because most teams cap at like 20. You don't want like to be taking care of 1 million people. But the drip system is kind of annoying because as soon as you discharge somebody, you get another one. And I don't really think there's like an incentive to discharge people, because it kind of gets overwhelming, having billions of patients to work up, versus the call system. Like 1 day out the week or maybe 2 days out the week is going to be tough because you're on call. But then once you get rid of those patients, you can't get new patients until like 2 days after, or until your call day. You know what I mean? So when you discharge your patients, you know what I'm saying, you can kind of like lighten your caseload and kind of like, it's less stressful than a drip system where it's literally millions of patients. And I think hospitals depend on just the overall volume. Like the University Hospital is a community hospital out here in San Antonio, and I don't think they have the luxury to like not have a team take as many patients, because there's a lot of people down there. Versus the VA is not the volume isn't. It's still a lot of people, but it's not as many people as University Hospital. So it's just easier for them to have it like that. My experience in internal medicine so far has been cool. Like you in internal medicine is probably the one rotation where everything you've learned in medical school for your first and second year, you do and see. You know what I mean? I've seen patients with congestive heart failure, gout, myocardial infarctions, epilepsy, and epilepsy. I've seen patients with osteoarthritis. I've seen patients with osteomyelitis. I've seen patients with multiple myeloma, different type of cancers. I've seen a patient with HLH, which is a fairly new thing. It's actually on my step 1 exam, which was pretty crazy. You just see patients with like literally chronic kidney disease, lung disease, every disease process. You see it in real life. And I think that's the valuable part of having an internal medicine rotation, because once you see what congestive heart failure looks like, once you see what like the complications of chronic kidney disease, at that point you remember it a lot better. Also, the thing that makes internal medicine, I guess, more intellectually stimulating is that a patient comes in for one problem. Let's say a patient comes in because he's had intractable nausea and vomiting for the last 2 or 3 days, and they can't keep any food down. You still have to manage the other problems that the patient may have. So that same patient that's vomiting, boom, also has heart failure, also has chronic kidney disease, also has type 2 diabetes. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just load him up with fluids, because then he'll get fluid overload and then you're worsening congestive heart failure. So just understanding how to like treat what they're there for, treat the acute problem as well as manage the chronic problems. I think that's a beautiful thing about internal medicine. And I think that's why a lot of people like the concept of medicine, because you really have to consider every aspect of this whole patient. Whereas more other specialties are just more like specialized to what they do. Like in psychiatry, like, okay, if this person has congestive heart failure, that's not my domain. My domain is to make sure they're not going to kill themselves, make sure that their medications are set up, and then most services then punt patients back to internal medicine. So as a future surgeon, like, reading some of the surgery notes, they'll be like, okay, surgery went well, this was the blood loss, keep him on this anticoagulant for 10 days, follow up with PCP. You know what I'm saying? And then the internal medicine physician actually manages all the things that happen and all the extra things that happen from the surgery. So internal medicine is definitely a mentally stimulating specialty for people who actually like to think. And it's funny, like some of my attending jokes. I remember one time I went to go see a patient, and the patient asked me, "Oh, are you a surgeon?" And my attending was like, "Nah, I think for a living." You know what I mean? But to each their own, I think. But that's the beautiful thing about internal medicine. I've also had some pretty tough experiences so far in my 7 weeks, man. Like on P's, I saw sick children, but the thing about when I was on my hem-onc rotation, most children got better. Like, even though I had maybe one patient like pass away on me in Peds, and it was hard, but most children get better. So I think there's honestly a lot more, like, there's a lot of positivity, but in internal medicine, some of your patients are, 82, families, all of that, and they get diagnosed with like end stage like cancers or like poor prognosis, and having to like break bad news is one thing I really hadn't really seen a lot, and I saw that a lot in this rotation. One of my patients got diagnosed with like pancreatic cancer, and it was really hard on him because he was like one of the providers for his family, and he wasn't really even worried about himself. It was more like, how am I going to take care of my family now that pancreatic cancer has a bad prognosis? And that was difficult for me, just really being able to like break bad news. It's a skill that physicians acquire over time, and it was really hard for me, man. Just even though like some of these patients have lived a long life, a lot of them are like 70 plus, a lot of them have children and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, you never want to tell somebody like, hey man, it's not really looking too good. Like, we've tried everything we can. There's nothing we can do at this point, which was hard for me. And that's where palliative doctors, it's a specialty called palliative medicine, and they really specialize on, instead of worrying about the prognosis, they try to maximize the amount of life you have left, so you're comfortable with the time you have, so you can spend the time you have with loved ones and family and all of that kind of stuff. And God bless those doctors. I don't think I have it in me, to be honest with you. But there's so many different aspects in medicine, and it's really a beautiful team once everybody starts to work together. The video, hopefully I haven't bored y'all enough from just talking, but like I said, I almost got fried in the VA the first time, and internal medicine is a lot more personal, so I really can't show y'all inside the shits, you feel me? Because it's just, I'm not finna, get screwed. One thing I did kind of want to talk about, oh damn, the lighting's way better over here, sheesh. One thing I low-key did want to talk about was how I'm studying for internal medicine. I know in my other rotation videos, I haven't really discussed like my study plan, really because I didn't know like how third year was going, and I didn't know if I was going to be doing all right, but I seem to be doing pretty well on the shelf, so I just kind of want to share my approach in internal medicine. So basically what I do is as soon as I see my patient, as soon as I have, I figure out the plan, figure out what happened overnight, put in my note, hey man, I'm being serious. The thing about internal medicine and my school, and certainly I know in a lot of other schools, you don't do anything for like 60% of the time you're in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the time it's just, so one of my classmates called it like a hospital jail. Like they hold you literally for no reason. You know what I mean? Like once we finish rounding, once we're done with the day, once I've updated my patient and the plan is put into order, like as a medical student, there's really not much you can do. You can't really put in orders. Well, we can't really put in orders. You know what I'm saying? Like everything else is just busy work. Hey, can you call this person for me? Hey, can you go downstairs and get? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a viable learning experience. So I don't mess around. Like I study. So how I study, first thing I do is I always do my Anki cards for the day. So I finished my cards for the day, 94 minutes, 414 cards. And that's just when, like, man, honestly, I have no shame. I Anki everywhere. I Anki when we're, like, walking from room to room. I Anki when we're talking about a patient that doesn't concern me. I Anki when, like, we're, like, traveling across the world. My thing is like, those cards take forever. You feel me? Like, if I'm at home, it's going to take me, like, an hour or 15 minutes to do, like, all my cards. And quite frankly, I have like 4 hours of downtime to do them during the hospital, so I'm gonna do it during the day, make hay while the sun is up, you feel me? So that's what I do. That's the first thing I do. And the reason I do that is because, one, skipping a day on your cards, that catch-up day is too much suffering, and I don't have time for that. Like, the pancakes of the day must be eaten, you feel me? And then two, like, it really helps reinforce your learning. And honestly, like, I feel like I'm gonna do okay on this internal medicine stuff because I know the first best step, the first initial test, best test, treatment for most things pretty confidently, and Anki just helps that immediate recall. I know I got a lot of questions about Anki first and second year. I can't speak to Anki first and second year. I didn't use Anki first and second year, but for third year, it makes so much sense. And I'm probably gonna make a video on how I use Anki after step 2, after I see how all of that works. But it's really helped me with just like that kind of getting pimped on the wards. I'm like, give me that, you feel me? Like, I enjoy getting pimped because I'm pretty confident I'm gonna know it, you feel me? Because I've seen a card on it at one point. It's just, I know that, you see what I'm saying? But I do want to preface, like, Anki is not my primary, like, study tool. I use Anki as an ancillary tool on top of whatever the tried and true resource for that rotation. For internal medicine, that's UWorld. So basically what I aim to do is I was trying to do 40 questions a day. There's about like 1,300 UWorld questions total. And I was told from people that have done it before, man, if you run through the internal medicine questions for UWorld, like there's not gonna be any surprises when it comes down to the shelf. So that was my goal. From day one, I would try to do at least 5 days a week, 40 questions a week. So that's like 200. 200 times 8 is 1,600. So if you do 40 questions a day, you can run through UWorld in about 6 weeks. If you study every day, I try to study every day and do questions every day, you really put a dent in your questions rather quickly. So I went ahead and finished unused. They actually added a new medicine question. I finished most of my UWorld questions on medicine, and now what I'm doing with a week and a half left is I'm gonna redo all 311 of these questions that I missed because, fool me once, shame on me, fool me, you can't get fooled again type shit, you know what I'm saying? So if you miss a question once, you wanna see that question again so you really understand that concept. That's basically what I'm doing to study for that. So it's basically the Anki, my 2 Anki decks, the clerkship and the Zonki step 2, UWorld, and then all the NBMEs, like the same concept from step 1. Like it really baffles me that people take shelf exams without having all the NBMEs done because that's free game. You know what I'm saying? And it really just gives you a glimpse of how they're gonna come at you. You see what I'm saying? So that's my plan. I have about a week left of this rotation. I'm gonna finish all those questions, and I have 3 more NBA meets to knock out. So I still got a lot of work to do. You know what I mean? But my thing is I'd rather do a lot, and then go into the shelf like I did all I could do, versus like going to the shelf with like 600 euro questions left, be getting slammed left and right, getting rocked. You feel me? And be like, damn. What if I had finished the questions? What if I did the NBMEs? You know what I'm saying? That's just not gonna be me. So I'm actually about to get to studying now. I'm gonna see y'all. Got my classmate Chisato on the cut. What's popping? Feel me? Just about to head back to the VA. We're gonna finish our little study and finish my questions. I actually had to struggle through them because I'm just not feeling it today. Not gonna lie, but the work must be done, I guess.
Yeah,
the work must be done. What's good, y'all? So we got a little break. I got, Chisato on the cut. We was there earlier. I'm gonna just ask her a couple of questions and let her share her story. So without further ado. So Chisato, what's good? What's good? Talk to the people, man.
Okay.
Tell the people about yourself.
All right. So my name is Chisato. I am a third-year medical student now. I was actually born in Japan. Grew up half my life in Japan, half my life in the U.S. Ended up graduating from high school in Japan a while ago. And then I ended up going to Vanderbilt University in Nashville for undergrad.
What'd you study?
I studied, so I was pre-med because I was thinking I was going to go into medical school, but then that wasn't a major, so I studied psychology and Spanish.
Okay. So you don't have to study biochem and chemistry?
Chemistry, no, you don't have to.
Cool.
I think in some ways that can be helpful, but I wanted to really pursue things that interested me, and I think being able to speak Spanish is huge, especially if you live in Texas, right? Being able to communicate with someone with their own native language is really important, and so that's why I wanted to study Spanish. And then for psychology, I was just really interested in it, so that's why I decided to study that.
Okay, what'd you do after college?
So after college, college was a little bit, so in college I was like thinking about medical school because when I was a teenager, I got real sick. I was in the hospital for a few years with a few different things. That was what really made me think about going into medicine because I realized the importance of being healthy in order to do the things that you love to do. And so I was still thinking about medicine, but I also wanted to do something else before jumping straight into medical school. Since I knew that was a commitment, it was going to take years. I was already studying for like 4 years in undergrad, and then Teach for America came along, and I was like, hey, that sounds real cool. I can make a difference, and I could do that before medical school, and that's really awesome. Like it'll be a good use of my time, and I really wanted to learn from students as well. So I did Teach for America in Dallas-Fort Worth. I did that for 2 years, and then so it's a 2-year commitment. After those 2 years, I was thinking to go into medical school, but then another opportunity came up where I had the opportunity to work with a charter school network writing curriculum for kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade science. And that was like awesome because I was able to impact a lot more students doing that, and so I decided to do that and did that for about 4 years.
All right, so you took like 6 years off?
I took 6 years off, and I also started college later because I got sick in high school. Okay. So currently I am, guess my age, I am 33 years old, turning 34.
Hey, that's the good genes, man.
Yeah, it's the Asian, it's
good genes,
the Japanese.
I like it. Yes, sir.
Once I turned 70, though, it's like downhill from there. But I was really actually kind of apprehensive about going to medical school because I was like, I'm 30, like, is it too late?
Didn't you already have money? You had a career,
had money,
you had a job.
Yeah, like I had money, I had a good job, I was making a difference, like I got to interact with kids, I like loved my job, but every day I was kind of like, there's something missing, like I was feeling like, man, I still want to go into medicine, like health is so important, that's something that I'm passionate about. I love science education and I'm super passionate about that, but there's something like tugging me, so I actually decided to take the MCATs, the terrible MCATs. And then I was out of college for a while, so I was a little bit worried about what my scores are going to be. I decided to take like a Princeton Review or a Kaplan class or something like that. That was online. I did that at night after work, and that ended up working out.
Dedication.
I got the score that I needed, and then I decided to apply. And really, I was really scared about applying But then I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be 70 and
Like I wish I had.
like regretting my decisions in life, being like, oh man, I wish I had become a doctor, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that feeling, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
Question.
Yes.
So how's your experience being older than like most of your classmates? I think our average age is like 25.
Yeah, really.
Or so how did it feel like, or your experience just being an older student, an older non-traditional student?
Yeah, at first, before coming in, I was worried. I was like, I'm gonna be so much older than my peers. Like, there's gonna be an age gap. I'm not gonna maybe not fit in. But then, honestly, everyone's been real cool. I actually think it's an advantage to be a little bit older and then going straight from college. And that's just my own personal experience. I think when you're out of school for a while and you see the real world,
You done seen some life.
yeah, you see some life, and you know that there's life outside of medical school.
Yeah.
You know that setting is important to get to where you need to be and to be able to treat patients, but there are other things in life that are precious to you and that you need to kind of hold on to. So
Yeah.
I think it's been good. I think I'm always grounded with like, my partner. I'm engaged.
Hello.
And-
Hey, show them the ring. Hold on, let me see.
It's pretty nice.
Oh, I can't even
pretty
see. It's blinding me.
Yeah,
Hello.
Is it? Okay. But he's not in medicine, and so like I try to make sure that I have time for him. There are some days when I'm like, I remember my first 2 years when I was like, oh, this is some biochem stuff that I haven't seen in a while. But I just had to study a little bit more for those types of things. But overall, I think I've been doing well,
Yeah.
adjusting well. People are great here, so.
All right.
Yeah, it's been
any if you had one piece of advice for a struggling pre-med student, or maybe someone that's in a career that they don't really find fulfilling, and they were maybe thinking about medicine, if you had one piece of advice, what would you leave them with?
I would say if your heart is telling you to do it, just go ahead and do it. And it's going to be scary, right? Because leaving something that you're familiar with and you're making good money or whatever it may be, is scary to leave that. But at the end of the day, you need to do what like your calling is. Like
Yeah.
you need to do what feels right to you. So if it feels right to you and you're thinking about it, then just go ahead and do it. Like don't struggle with that, because you're either going to do it or not do it.
Yeah.
And you just have to make a choice.
One of my good professors from UT told me uncomfortability is the fertilizer for growth. So certain
Yeah.
things are uncomfortable, but once you get adjusted to it, then that just makes you that much stronger of a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Well, Chisala, thank you for jumping on the channel. You feel me? Chisala's one of my good friends. Been working with her for the last 4 weeks. You know what I
Been
mean?
a pleasure.
Gang shit. But yeah, I want to get Chisala on the channel because I think it's important, especially for somebody out there that believes that, oh, it's too late for them, that's too old, or are really selling themselves with excuses that they know are excuses. Like, you have to believe in yourself, and if once you start making that move, then it'll all work out if that's really what you want. You feel me? So appreciate you again, Chisala. Thank you. All right, boom. So just got back from lunch and we got some new patients or whatever. And I actually got assigned a patient that fell and broke their hip. So about to see the patient now. Hopefully I can actually go in and see the surgery too, because that'll be dope. But basically, like, everybody gets admitted to medicine so medicine can work them up, make sure that they're okay, and then from there, the service that is responsible for taking care of them takes them. So medicine is like the common ground or whatever, you feel me? But about to see this patient now, and then hopefully I can go in and check out the operation. All right, so boom, man, your boy finna go into the surgery. I'm gonna check in with y'all when I get out of it, but I think it's pretty cool. I get to watch the case. I'm gonna let y'all know how it goes. I'm actually gonna scrub in, so hopefully I get to like do something. I'm gonna let y'all know how it goes. It's exciting. Man, just got done with the case. Total hip hemiarthroscopy. Well, I can't pronounce nothing, to be honest with you, but it was pretty cool, man. Got to scrub in. Got to meet some new people, so that was dope. I'm finna go home. I should go home and study, but it's National Margarita Day, dawg. About to go touch on some tea, you feel me? And then go hard tomorrow. Anywho, that's internal medicine. You know what I'm saying? Got surgery next. After surgery, I got emergency medicine and neurology, step 2, away rotations, interview season. I'm about to be pretty slammed until November. Really, no, actually, damn near July. I'm January next year, man. It's gonna be a pretty busy year, but you know what I'm saying? Somebody gotta do it. Anywho, you know what it is. Ambitious A, Share, like, subscribe, all that good jazz. Until next time, stay hungry, stay humble. Let's get it.